Oh my. Hello world.
Hi,
I'm the Mad Chemist,
and I'm Wolverina.
and we are
the
the
Mad
Mad Reviewers.
Woo!
So, this is, I guess, technically our first video. I guess the trailer was our first, but this is our first, I guess, talking to you video. So,
Hi. How you doing? So yeah, basically what we're going to be doing is we are going to be reading books and watching movies together, and then we're going to tell you what we liked about them, what we didn't like about them, and fun stuff like that.
yep. But, so, I'm sure you're all wondering, what makes us different from any other reviewer on YouTube? Well, a couple things. One, we're cousins.
And we're awesome.
And insane. But the biggest difference is that whereas most reviewers give their opinion, and usually it's a very biased opinion,
And only look at the negative side, so they're basically
Yes.
saying what's wrong with this.
Yeah.
We're also going to
It's-
say what we like.
yeah, we're gonna, even if something's really, really bad, like, just the worst movie you could ever think of, we will try to find something good in it for the sake of the people who made it, and also for the sake of the fans out there. So even if there's a book that is
Horrible beyond compare.
and everyone hates except for a very loyal fan base, we will be fair to that loyal fan base, and we will find what is good about it. We promise. We'll try to be unbiased, but again, this is a review, so we will have our opinions, which is another thing. We don't always have the same opinion, so you will get two different opinions, which is another
Yay!
difference.
Also, we are not going to try to stomp on the author or what they've done, because that's just mean. They're people too. They have mothers who care
And
about them.
if we're going to be looking at very popular things, or at least we're going to try to do very popular things, so making fun of someone who's obviously done a very good job, that's kind of petty. So we're not picking on, if we do pick on like little details and stuff, we're not picking on the authors, we're picking on what they've done, but we're trying to be fair, but if there is something very wrong, like, we're not
We
going
will
to be...
mention it.
we
We're not
will.
going to skip over it. Oh, look, lollipops and daisies. No, we're going to point out
So,
anything that's horrible.
now, I'm sure you're all wondering, what are we going to do first? Now, anyone who's seen our Facebook page, you've probably gotten
Figured it out
a bit of a hint.
Figured out by now.
We said that we are going to be delving into BDSM, abusive relationships, and very popular romance. So, more formally, this is what we will be reviewing for the very first of our series. Yeah, that's right. We're going there.
50 Shades of Grey.
Now, the interesting thing about this is that it has completely revolutionized what you see in bookstores now, because
Everything seems to be about
romance.
Yeah, romance.
A lot of
Overtaking.
romance books.
It's like the zombie apocalypse of books.
Yeah, I remember last summer, I would go into chapters, and there were sections in the middle of, like, the alleyways with, like, just popular romance, and of course this book was, and its sequels were first and foremost there, but there were, like, a bunch of branching off ones that saw this, like, obviously authors who read this book and thought, hey, that's a good idea.
Like, we went today and we saw at least 4 new series covering the exact same topics. We
Yeah.
didn't look at them, but it was like, oh, look, another one. So obviously there's a market for it, and it's really popular.
Yep, and since this is the one that started it all, and like, as you all know already, it is Twilight fan fiction, or it's based off a Twilight fan fiction. So if we do make comparisons, which is gonna happen, we're sorry, but we've both read Twilight too. Like, I read it again quite recently on a dare. And it's very hard to not compare it because it's a very similar writing style. Like, it's obvious that she was inspired by Stephanie Meyer, and that's okay. Like, we're not picking on her for that, I promise. It's just, we will be making those comparisons, just warning you.
Like, both of us write ourselves, and I definitely know some series that I've taken ideas from, or hey, I like the way that author did that, so I'm going to use that. So we're not saying that that's a bad thing or anything.
No.
We're not saying don't copy people, just don't search replace names.
Search replace is your friend.
I'm sorry! It wasn't my fault I wanted to rename that character when I was almost finished.
So, now we're going to tell you how we're going to format our videos. So, we're going to start with the title sequence, and then we're going to move into the synopsis of the chapter. We're going to, read from choice sections, but we're going to summarize
what happens.
The chapter. We're going to go through chapter by chapter, and we are going to summarize what happens in the chapter. And after that, we will each give our 2 cents about it. So we are going to kind of analyze it, and we're going to say what we didn't like, what we did like, and we're also going to point out some
things that we're looking for in the book.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that we're actually using our iPads to highlight is how many times the main character is going to say, "He's pretty."
Yeah.
About the main male role. So that's going to be fun, seeing how many times that pops up.
And we're going to put a counter somewhere.
Yeah, there's going to be
a screen.
A counter somewhere.
And we're going to count how many times these things happen. And we're also going to have another section of worst things to say on a first date. And we're going to take lines from it that we think would be a very bad thing to say to a first date. And I'm sure we'll find some things that you shouldn't say on a first date.
Let us know if you have used these lines and what the outcome was, because we really want to know.
And then, finally, at the end,
we're going to do predictions!
Yep.
What we think's going to happen.
And we're each going to give a prediction. So I get a prediction and she gets a prediction. So, and we're going to make it a bit of a contest, a harmless contest, like no one gets anything out of it at the end. Unless you guys think of a sufficient prize or a dare or something.
Oh,
but we're going to try to predict what's going to happen, not only in the next chapter, but
in the book in general.
The book in general. But in the book in general, that's what we're going to do for the conclusion today. So, before ever having read, we've already read the first chapter, sorry guys.
We cheated, we read the first chapter.
But, before reading very far into it, we're going to give our predictions about what's going to happen. Wolverina, you care to go first?
I think that not a lot is actually going to happen. It's going to seem like, wow, there's so many scenes, it's such a thick book, there's so much going to go on, but in reality, it's going to be sort of like Twilight, where nothing really happens. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what else to say about it, other than not much is going to happen, so whatever there is, there's not going to be a lot of it.
Yeah.
What about you, chemist?
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that a lot's going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of character development, and I think there's going to be a really good payoff climax at the end, because reading the first chapter, I'm going to admit, it was a good chapter. Like, it makes me want to keep reading, and I would hate to have a book that has such a good first chapter and a pretty interesting premise. Like, it hasn't been done before, at least not that I know of. But, like, I'd hate to see a book like that just kind of fall flat on its feet.
Like the main character.
We'll get to that in the next episode. So,
Are you ready?
yep. So, next time you see us, we will be delving right into Chapter 1 of E.L. James' 50 Shades of Grey. So,
Stay with us.
wish us luck. Alright. See you guys.
See you.
I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. The mother boys don't know how to act. Yeah. I'm thinking special, what's behind your back?